Greetings, podcast listeners. I am your host, Tanya Coons. Thank you for joining us today on our very first episode of Impact Educators and the Vision Challenge podcast. Today I have with me
Lamar Harris.
And I'm so delighted to have him here with us on our very first episode. So I have known Mr. Harris a little over 7.5 months, going on 8 months, I think it is. And so it's very exciting to have people you come in contact with and you build the professional relationships with them where you can have these intellectual conversations around the subjects that they love. And in this case, he loves mathematics. And those of you who know me, you know we have a highly mathematical family. Everyone's into like engineering and mathematics and even writing and those kinds of things, but creativity. And so as we began to work with a particular school in the district, we were able to just go in and just explore and see the amazing work that Mr. Harris is doing. And so today we invited him to come and share. But before he shares, I would like for him to just give us just a little backdrop of who are you and your experiences in education.
All right, no problem. So my name is Lamar Harris, and I'm a math teacher, currently teaching at the 7th grade level. I'm Jamaican by nationality. I did my degree at the Michael Teachers College. I graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in education for teaching at the secondary level. After graduating, I did 8 years in Jamaica. Then I migrated to the United States where I spent 3 years in North Carolina. And then I transferred to Georgia where I've just completed 1 year in teaching at the grade 7 level, and here I am.
Yes. And so I think our initial conversation centered around the fact that I had lived in North Carolina as well, and then here you were in North Carolina. Yeah. What part of North Carolina were you in?
It's a place called Elizabeth City.
Okay, yes. And we were in Charlotte area, and so just exciting. So the experiences that you've had, not just in Jamaica, but also in North Carolina and then Georgia, you get to bring all of those experiences into your classroom. And so we're thankful that you're here in Georgia and that you chose not just anywhere in Georgia, but Middle Georgia, specifically Macon. So thank you so much. Let's jump right in on your experience with Impact Educators. So you came in, tell us when you came into this particular school where we were working, and I think you started with the new teacher program.
Yes, I did.
So can you just tell us, the time frame in which you came and then your experience with the new teacher program, and then we'll move to the next component.
All right, so I came to Georgia in last year in July 12th. I started teaching, that's in October. So I missed the first couple of months of teaching, and then I entered the new teacher program, and I've completed the remainder of the school year within the program.
Yes, and it's such a delight to have you in the room.
Yes.
It really, really was. I like the fact that you were able to come right in and still collaborate with everyone, although you didn't start at the very beginning of the program. So, and to bring your element of brilliance into the room was also a big plus in your experiences. So can you talk to us about how Impact Educators and the work that I did with you all helped or impacted your instruction?
Sure, not a problem. So let me just share a few powerful strategies that I've learned from my instructional coach, Dr. Coons, that have made a real difference in my classroom. So our professional development workshops are always engaging, hands-on, practical, and full of energy. What I appreciate most is that she doesn't just explain her strategies, she models them. She shows us exactly what effective instructional looks like in action. So Dr. Coons also challenges us as teachers to fully master one high impact strategy And for me, that strategy was peer instruction. Through it, I've seen students take ownership of their learning, explaining concepts to each other, thinking more critically, and building confidence through collaboration. She has also introduced me to other engaging approach like station rotation and small group instruction, which helps me differentiate learning and keeping students actively involved. Additionally, Dr. Coons reminds us that relationships and intentional planning are at the heart of real engagement. Her mentorship has helped me create a classroom where every student has a voice and every student grows. So thank you, Dr. Coons, for pushing us to be the best that we can be and for showing us how to bring out the best in our students.
Well, it was my pleasure. It's always a pleasure to work with people who want to learn. And not only that, I felt like it was mutual, because the time I came into your classroom to also model outside of the professional learning, it was a mutual exchange is what I felt. I didn't feel like I had to come in and break down barriers or,
Definitely.
control barriers or anything like that. So thank you for being open to the learning and once again, like I shared, for also sharing. And so you mentioned graduating with honors. I just want to do some touch points here. What inspired your love for math?
My lecture that I had during college, I met this one particular lecturer, and he always challenges us, just like you does. He always said, think outside of the box. Don't think that just being a teacher is what the kids need, but be a mentor, a motivator, someone that they will look up to and always remember. Even if they don't remember the math, let them remember you for something that enhanced their lives.
Yes, and that also goes with what you said about building intentional relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there was sort of a culture shock, coming from your
Definitely.
country. Everyone that I know, the amazing teachers that I know that come from Jamaica, and I know quite a few, that's always one of those things because, and it's my understanding in your country, the kids most of them, they come, you understand that you are coming to learn and you go for that very reason.
Definitely.
And then you get here and it's almost like you're having to coax the children and encourage them and motivate and inspire and counsel and all of those things. So how did you, in a few short months, begin to build relationships with students?
Well, at first it wasn't easy. As a matter of fact, this is my first year teaching at the middle school. So I've taught grade 9 through 12 all my life. So, but my wife, she teaches middle school all her life. So she was also an additional support that
Yes.
guides me. And there's one thing that she says to me that always at the back of my mind. Always remember that they're children being children.
Yes,
And with that, it was kind of easier. So when they do the things that they do, I kind of understand why they're doing it. But at the end of the day, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I have no problem.
Yes.
So she made it easier for me, along as you, my instructional coach, and other teachers' support and all of that.
Yes.
Guided me through the process.
Awesome. That's good advice. They're children being children. And that's exactly right. And you're not taking it personally.
Exactly.
And you kept on teaching. And also, you mentioned something about mastering one thing. That's very uncommon. And I always tell you all, in our new teacher program, which my daughter built from scratch, and I go in and implement, but we always talk about the fact that we are doing more of the micro learning. We're chunking, and we're not trying to do everything. We just want them to master one thing. And as you notice, he called out so many other things that were mastered as a result of choosing that one thing. And so you chose the peer instruction, right?
Yeah.
So why did you choose that over everything else?
Because what I found out, if the students were able to tell you what they learned in a meaningful way, you know that they have learned something. So them teaching each other rather than me standing over them, repeating, and hoping that they get what I'm saying. Them letting them do the work, it is more rewarding.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they find their level of success, and it's more of an internal motivation. What used to be external motivation now becomes internal motivation because they realize, ooh, I mastered something that was difficult for me.
Exactly.
And we harp a lot on student voice, and in doing the peer instruction, they're able to articulate what's going on in their brains, mm-hmm. which gives them voice in the classroom that we say is really their classroom, right? Exactly. And so to your point, it's not just your classroom, you cohabit that classroom, and the children feel that, they understand that, they feel like they own, co-own that classroom. And that's exactly what I began to see in your classroom. And that's pretty impressive. And so can you talk to us about how just focusing on that one strategy, did it seem like focusing on that one thing was going to yield the results that you wanted in the beginning?
It kind of does, because when I realized that, speaking of standards, when there are certain standards that are weighted more than the others, mm-hmm. and one of the approaches that teachers take is to focus more on those heavy weighted standards. Mm-hmm. So why not let the students, why not as teachers, we focus on mastering a particular strategy and then let the others flow naturally. Yes. So it was kind of the same approach as teachers we take for ourselves that we try to implement for the students.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. And to your point, it's once again going back to the chunking and those micro learning moments. It's not like you're trying to do, there's a massive amount of information that they have to master, but you're really honing in on those particular skills that they need in order to be successful. And as you're doing that, other things flow naturally, like you said. So that's excellent. And without giving like any, details of numbers or anything like that, what was your aha at the end when you were able to see, because you all were able to see like your results, but they can't be like exposed, all of the details of the results, but what aha did you have regarding your results?
There's so much aha moments. What I realized, my expectation at the beginning, the results in the end far supersede what I expected. I'm ashamed of saying my expectations at the beginning, but what I saw in the end, I was like, oh man, I was really doing all this work. So many students passed. Separate and apart from those who I knew would have passed, there were some students who passed. I was like, imagine, I didn't know I have all of this in me. Imagine what I'm going to do next time.
That's right.
Yeah, because there are so many students. I know if I had focused more attention on them, I would have caught them as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I love that reflection. And I'm going to encourage you, and I know you will, go in continuing to master that one thing, honing in on it.
Definitely.
And, if you want to add another, layer, you can. But I think you're really, the one you've chosen is really, it has so many tentacles to it.
Definitely.
Like the differentiation and kids being actively engaged, that I have no doubt if you continue, you are going, and I want to make it known publicly, you are definitely going to become one of those model teachers that people are bringing in, not just at your school, but I have no doubt throughout the district, if not even Georgia, because of your level of commitment. Your content knowledge is just amazing. And then the way you interact with the students, you respect them. And they can see that. Even during the times in the beginning when they wanted to, exhibit a little bit of disrespect, you didn't go there with them. And to your wife's point, you remember they're children. They're doing what children do. They're trying me. And you didn't go back and forth with them, which is very impressive, So keep doing what you're doing, building those relationships. And if you had one word of encouragement for a new teacher or veteran teacher, what would you say to them with regards to children having the ability to peer instruct? And by the way, I want to add this in. One of the things we really highlight is that teaching is the highest level of learning. And we all know this. I use the example all the time about tying a tie. And so it's one thing to be able to tie the tie yourself, but it's a whole nother ball game to teach someone else how to tie that tie. And so that's, to me, it's like the best illustration of teaching. When we are helping someone else tie that tie, and we're not doing it for them, we're not doing it necessarily alongside them, that may be the way in which we scaffold to help them learn it. But at the end, we want them to be able to tie their own tie. Whether male or female, it's not gender specific. We want them to be able to do that work. And so that's what you've built in your classroom. So what encouragement would you give to that teacher or veteran or new or waiver, or someone who's coming over and they're for the very first time? What would you say to them as it relates to trying to master peer instruction?
All right, one thing I will tell a new teacher or even a veteran teacher, challenge yourself by challenging the students. You'll be amazed to know what they can do.
Yes, that is great advice. Absolutely. And it goes back to high expectations. I didn't never hear you say, "Oh, I have high expectations. I have high expectations," but your actions spoke louder than your words. And so thank you so much for believing that in the children and believing that they had it in them, the capacity to be able to rise to the occasion. So,
thank you.
I appreciate you being here with us.
All right.
Thank you all for watching. This is once again our first episode of many, many more, where we will amplify the voices of those who are doing amazing work in the field of education and also in the realm of faith.